So starting again, supine, with your legs bent and your feet hip distance apart. Take a moment to absorb how the back of you feels. You could do some spiky ball to begin with, or you could do pelvic clock. We're starting with breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Our focus is back body breath. Sending breath into the back rib cage and then relaxing towards that spot. When you breathe out next, you're going to allow one knee to fall out to the side. So exhaling, sense the soles of the feet, rocking onto the outer edge, and then inhaling, reconnecting and returning. Breath out to part and breath in to return. So you're still in your narrow parallel. Makes it slightly more challenging to know where your end and start is each time. But go with how the feet feel, so rocking onto the outside of one foot and then reconnecting outer edge to ball of the foot, inner edge, big toe and big toe pad. And that will hopefully give you some feedback as to how you're doing with your starting and finishing position. I want you to think about what we've worked on so far as opposite hip bone, allowing that knee to fall out to the side each time. Inhale to return, exhale. Sometimes when you want to work from a place specifically, so here ASIS, hip bones at the front of us, it is helpful to touch them, just to notice where they are, and to then feel that if that's the start, as you rock onto the out there, you feel that the inner knee responds to that movement. Exhaling and inhaling. The next time the first leg falls out, it's going to come into that long version. You'll send the outer edge down the centre of your mat, as we did last week, back to your parallel and draw the foot back in again. Exhaling to part and extend. Inhaling to rotate the thigh bone in and draw the leg back in again. Exhaling to part and extend. Always really checking that as the leg moves down the mat, you're trying to keep it as central as possible. That's it. It's going to go straight forward as much as you can figure out. Exhaling from that opposite hip bone, feeling that openness, back to parallel and coming in. And your last one, exhaling to part and extend. You're inhaling to come back to your parallel and bring the leg all the way back in again. Just double check that you landed there with the feet alongside each other. You could do that by just bringing your feet together and then toes apart, heels into line, and you're good to go. As you breathe out, one foot here drops down into the floor, one leg floats up. Inhale with your leg raised and exhale to return. Exhaling for a downward action. Can you feel then that you can lift the leg right from the back of the pelvis? Inhale as the leg lifts and exhale to return. So be patient, drop down, feel that you become a little lighter here as the hamstrings try to do the lift. Inhale with your leg lifted and exhale to bring the leg back down towards the floor. You go down, feel that you drop into that side to lift it up. Inhale when your leg is lifted and exhale to return. Exhale down, to float. Inhale with your leg raised and exhale to come back. And next time you stand down and float one foot up there, you're going to keep it raised. So take a breath in, and as you breathe out, patience again through the rib cage, and take the other leg up to join. Knees and feet are going to join together, so you do have a reference as to where your start and finish positions are. As you breathe out, we're going to do this elevated bent knee fall out, parting one knee, and as you inhale you return. Exhale to part and inhale to return. Now I'm still going to ask the hip bone to support and guide that leg out, and you could try this both ways. Exhaling, just touching the hip bone whilst the knee falls out gives you a real sense of stability, and keep my elbows hovered as I do that, because I could easily be resting hands on hip bones and using my elbows to support me. And actually this is quite a lot of work. Exhale to part and inhale to return. Exhaling to part, but I'm coming from that hip bone there. I can really feel it supporting the leg. It's stopping me from rolling all the way over to the side. And last one, exhaling to part and inhaling to return. I'm going to bring the feet separately down, and then just once again just check that they're next to each other. Head cushions are coming away because I'm going to come into bridging. But before I do the bridging, I'm just going to check in with the balls of the feet. If I push my feet down into the floor and have that sense that I'm about to come into some sort of assisted roll down, so big toes feeling like they fire forwards, and then I draw the heels back underneath me like I'm trying to drag the mat back, and the feet maintain their same points of contact with the mat. They aren't actually going to move. But you might notice as you push down and send something into the big toes, feel like you're trying to stretch your mat away from you. There's a reaction to the head coming through the spine. And then as you drag the heels back, you might find again there's a reaction of head. As you know, where pelvis goes, head follows. And then of course, sometimes where head goes, pelvis follows. And this is just giving you that sense of where you're moving from. So as the feet go down and forwards, the pelvis does very fractionally begin to tilt to 6 as you hover, to take you up towards the ceiling. So you're in your bridge here, you'll take a breath in. Now, as you return, be careful with this one. If you drag your heels back towards you as you did, you'll find that the spine lengthens, returns, but you also get quite a lot of recruitment through the back of the leg. If you feel that your shoulders are raised, just leave them there, see what happens. Exhale, feet go down and forwards. Notice how, without having to move the arms, you sent your spine up the mat and left the arms down the mat. As you exhale, if you bring your heels back towards you, spine returns, and again, spine might just end up being that little bit closer to the heels. Exhale, feet go down and forwards to bring you into your tilt. Notice the back of the head. Inhale, feet down, but drawing back. Notice the back of the legs. Really good for hamstring strength. Down and forward. Just finding some support from the pelvis, from somewhere other than quads, to return. 2 more, same version, using legs down and forwards. Float the arms for these 2. As you drag your heels back and reposition, the arms reach backwards, and you inhale to return. The last one, down and forwards. Notice how the pelvis does start to spill in towards the abdominals. Inhale to float. Exhale, you'll reach back as you drag your feet backwards. And then inhale to bring your arms all the way down beside you. Coming into book openings from here, as we've been doing. So most of the classes in the series have had book openings before chest lift, just to get some real manipulation through the middle spine and the ribs before we try to flex. Especially considering moves like chest lift are really all about the middle spine. So you exhale to open, clock the ceiling as we did last week, continue to rotate round as far as you can, and then allow the hip to drop back if it wants to. Inhale when you're open. The hip will then lead you forwards and bring you all the way back to your starting position. As you breathe out, you'll open, looking at the hand, continuing round, dropping the hip back. Inhale when you're open, and then exhale, send that hip bone forward to return you all the way back to your side. Last one, exhale to open. Pelvis stays still, dropping back. Inhale when you're open, and then exhale, nudging to return. Same thing on the other side. Once you feel you're organised, as you breathe out, open the hand up towards the ceiling and follow it. Inhale when you're open, and exhale to close. Sort of gauging as to where I am as I open the arm, paying particular attention to what the pelvis does even when I allow it to move. Exhaling, I'm going to send that hip back, but be aware that it could keep going on this side for me. So as I get to the ceiling, I want it to stop so it doesn't come all the way around and do that derotation for me. So exhaling to open, really think about how your own body is rotating and also how it differs from side to side. Inhale when you're open. Hip's going to go forward, but I know that it could keep going forward, and then that side of my clock would be tilted. That's it. Exhaling to open to ceiling. Continue to rotate round. Allow pelvis movement. Then as I breathe out, I'm going to nudge my hip forward. Big stretch through hip flexors, front. Might also feel big stretch into back there, but being aware of the pelvis settling once it gets to above the lower half. From here we're coming into chest lift. We're going to do chest lift long version into 100. So if you come onto your back, bring yourself into your narrow parallel again, toes apart and heels into line. Notice if you've generated a sort of feeling of warmth around the rib cage, which is what we're going to use now here for chest lift. So you'll breathe out and create some length. You just about hover the back of the head away from the mat. And then it's all about that pliability through the rib cage to curl you up. You'll inhale, reach your arms long and hold onto your legs. You'll exhale, bring yourself up a fraction higher. You'll inhale, take your hands back behind your head, trying to maintain that curl up, and lay yourself back down, same breath. Exhale, hovering, nodding, using ribs. Inhale, reaching and holding on. Exhale, elbows wide and back ribs spread. So my chin doesn't jump forward any more than it was. I'm not going to use my neck as best I can. I'm going to feel that. Yes, of course, my abdominals are, inhale, contracting to bring me here, but I'm also widening through the back of myself to get here. Inhale, hands come back behind head and lay down. Now this last one here, I'm going to stay up. So exhale to curl up. Rather than reach arms, I'm going to take a breath in. And as I breathe out, I'm going to float one knee. Inhale as I'm here and exhale to float the other. As I inhale next, I'm going to reach the arms to the legs, and then you use the legs just to help me deepen the curve, bring myself up a little higher, almost assisted roll-up style. And then I'm going to bring my knees and feet together and extend them away from me and release. Inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. In and out. 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 Last 10. And out. Knees into chest. Lay yourself down. From here we're going to come into some femur circles. Hands are going to come on top of the legs. And I'm just going to circle the thigh bones within the hip socket. Thinking about my arms doing the work. Shins and feet relaxed. Changing direction. Floppy feet, floppy shins. Lower back stays on the floor. And it's really a bit more evident when you are starting to move away and in. Away from your torso, around and in, that there could be a little bit of gapping between the lower back and the floor. So keep that connection between lower and mat, and then bring the legs to a pause. You're going to hold on to the backs of the legs. I'm going to roll up from here. So as you breathe out, just open the angle at the knee and at the hip. Nod your chin to your chest. Backs of the legs come down, and you bring yourself all the way back up again. Coming into assisted roll down, exhaling to tilt. Those feet have gone down and forwards, just like you're bridging. Draw the balls of the feet towards you just when you need them, and bring yourself onto your back. Inhale, exhale forward, nod the chin to the chest, and bring yourself all the way up. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, feet go down and forwards. Starts that mini tilt, but you're then going to encourage to tilt more. Draw your feet towards you and bring yourself onto your back. And you start to curl up, and if you can, back ribs spreading, bring yourself up into a sit balance. You could draw your knees and feet together if that were feeling a little bit more secure for you. Exhale. Legs will move away from you as you begin to tilt. Keeping the legs raised, really use your arms, and bringing yourself onto your back from here. So exhaling, legs. Can you stay back there before you then feel like you're coming more towards the top of the sit bones? It is like everything when you're trying to integrate upper and lower halves of body, about coordination. So exhaling. So figure out your biting point. You want to feel that the back ribs are lifting upwards and spreading, and that you can control the hip flexors enough to help you come up when you decide to come up, rather than tighten and bring you up. From here, I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to come into rolling like a ball, followed by seal. So exhaling, legs, and that will bring you up into your sit balance. Grab hold of the front of the ankles and hold the legs in tight, tight as is comfortable. You're on the back of your sit bones with your feet being off. You're going to take a breath in. What's relative to the pelvis position is relative to their head and neck. And we're starting with the pelvis, so inhaling, imagine you're just coming onto the back of the sit bones, and then exhale will bring you back up to sitting just on the back of them still. Inhaling, definitely want to inhale, almost like you're trying to plump up the curve of the back behind you. Inhale, definitely happens from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. As you rock onto the back of the sit bones further, you might notice that the gaze begins to drop. And again, that is that pelvis and head relationship. From here, the hands go in between the legs and onto the outsides of the ankles. The movement in essence is the same, but the backs of the hips are in a more open position. Hands are going to rest on the outer part of the feet, and I can really feel my elbows connected to the inner parts of the leg. Same approach. I'm going to inhale, be patient, and then exhale and bring myself back up again. There's much more openness through the lower back. Exhale to return. And you might find that after you've done a few, you can elongate the leg position, almost like you're trying to suspend the hips up in the air as you inhale and exhale to bring yourself back up. So you can play around with that. Breath in, back of the head has stayed clear of the floor throughout. Last one. And bring yourself back. From here, just going to test the water with a little sit balance, but you're going to hold on to the legs slightly differently, so the hand grip is going to come more on top. And you're going to inhale and you're going to reach one leg to a straighter position and exhale to relax it back down again. You're still on the back of the sit bones. You're noticing how your hamstrings feel about being lengthened in this way, but you're also just trying to suss out a connection of, is this arm almost straight and the leg is almost straight as well? Could they almost feel like they are unified? Could you even take the other one up to join it? Could you bend and could you bend? You're still on the back of your sit bones here. Could you take one leg up? Do you feel that you could straighten that arm? Could you take the other leg up? And then you bend and you bend. I'm going to come back to that in a moment, but before we do, just a little bit through the back line. I've got a couple of books to sit on. We're going to come into spine stretch and twist, and these are just cookery books. Something that's quite large, wide, but also quite deep. You could have 2 or 3 on top of each other, and I'm going to straighten my legs out in front of me. Arms are out, ankles are flexed. It's just giving me opportunity, if you're used to sitting on a blue block, to be up higher on the pelvis. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, nod your chin to your chest. Soften through the upper spine. Back ribs spreading as those front ribs come in. Keep that feeling of reach and distance between torso and thighs. And then inhale to bring yourself all the way back up again. Exhale, nod your chin to your chest. Can you imagine these back ribs widening as the front ribs draw in and you come forwards? And then inhale. The seated position you just came into, exhale. The sit balance with the legs extended. Could you feel that you're pretty much here if you lowered the arms down? Draw your front ribs in. Inhale to sit tall. Last one, exhale. Could you find that shape, but in a different orientation holding on to the fronts of the shins, and then inhale to bring yourself back. Side twist, exhale to rotate, head goes round, taking collarbone and gaze with, inhale to return. Exhale, head goes round, and inhale to return. Exhaling, and inhaling. Two more. 4 or 6. I know it's challenging to rotate here against gravity. When you're quite free, you could have your arms across your chest if you feel that that's why you need to rest, rather than having them out in front of you. I'm going to jump off those books now and come into rolling down and rolling up. So I'll breathe out, send the backs of the legs down and forwards, and start to tilt to bring myself onto the back. Inhaling, exhaling, arms come to ceiling, chin to chest, rounding, and I'm going to dive up and over as I've already prepped my spine stretch, and inhale to sit myself up tall. It's going to feel different. Hopefully it still feels quite free, not being on any blocks or books. Inhale, and then exhale, arms to ceiling, up and over, feeling. Challenging to find your sit bones there. And then as you exhale, tilting once more. Now as the arms come up towards the ceiling here, you could draw your feet together if you wanted to, come into teaser. Now arms could go a bit higher if you dare to sit back on those sit bones. And as you exhale, you're going to pull yourself long in 2 directions, past that full 100 position, and then take yourself onto your back. Inhale, exhale, arms to ceiling, reaching the legs long, picking your legs up to bring yourself up. Now I think I've got enough room behind me, but I'm going to take hold of the legs and take the legs apart and try and find that same connection I had previously, adding in that same rolling element of being patient, inhaling and coming onto my back, and then exhaling and finding that sit balance once more. Breathing in and breathing out. To be quite calm upon return. What will be, so far as maybe the legs will bend, maybe the pelvis will want to extend, hip flexors will want to do that. Or could you just about hang on to the return? Open leg rocker, well done. Bend your knees in. From here we're going to come into side lying. So if you come onto your side, knees bent, and hands going to come onto the outside of the hip. So sequence here will be side lying into mermaid and side bend. So inhale to swing the leg forwards, and exhale to swoop the leg back. Breath in and breath out. Calming the nervous system a little. Rolling up and down through the spine like that is very warming. Exhale. Coming onto the side. A bit more restful. After you swoop the leg back this next time, you're going to keep it back and use it as a transition to bring yourself up into a seated position. If you don't usually do a Z sit, then you could have your legs out in front of you, grab your books once more and sit more upright. Inhale, you'll lift your right arm, and exhale, you'll take yourself over to the left. Inhale when you're here, and then exhale to bring yourself back. Breath in, and breath out. Inhale when you're over, and exhale to bring back. 2 more, breath in. To come into side bend from here, we're going to come onto the hand and arm. If you prefer to come into a side lift position instead on the forearm, you could, in which case you'll be in a side kick starting position, or your side lift, as you know, with 2 straight legs. The slightly more challenging version is you bring your back leg over the front, so that heel is now touching the front of the leg that's in front of you, so you've got heel and foot crossed over. The arm that you're going to go and balance on is quite far away from the body, with your fingers pointing out to the side, really how it was for mermaid, but rather than bend the elbow, you're going to keep the elbows straight. Now, if you push down into the floor with the outer edge of this left foot, and as you push down, you're going to start to hover with your hip, and you'll take your arm up beside you. Now, we've already prepped the bend with the mermaid. Keep pushing the heel of the hand down into the floor. Notice how it helps those underneath ribs come up, and then carefully bending the legs and bringing yourself back to your seated position. Same thing, outer edge of foot pushes down. It's a bit like a bridge. As it pushes down, the pelvis starts to lift. Inhale whilst you're up here, pushing into the floor with the heel of the hand, and then exhaling to carefully bring yourself back down again. Last one, exhale, down to come up. You could be on your forearm, and you could be in more of a side lift if you'd prefer. Inhale when you're up, and then exhale to sit yourself back down again. And do the same sequence on the other side. So you're laying down, your knees are bent, and your hands on your hip. So again, a chance to rest, as in system rest. I know things are active still, but inhale to swing your top leg forward, and exhale to swing it back. Breath in, and breath out. Still want to be thinking, noticing, linking breath patterns to movement, because the exhale here as you swing the leg back is really going to help if you can consider dropping into your back ribs so far as line of pull up the front of your leg there, and it's going to be active through the back of the hamstrings a little more into glutes too. Once you swing the leg back this last time, you're going to keep it back there and bring yourself into mermaid. Again, legs outstretched if you prefer. You'll take an inhale, and as you exhale, up and over you go to the side. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, bring yourself all the way back up again. Breathing in, and breathing out. Inhale and exhale. Breath in. And last one, breath in. Inhale when you're here, and exhale come back down again. So really based on how it was to come into this version on the other side. The arm reaches away straight, the back leg comes over the top, and you've got that heel now against the front of the foot. The part of the foot you really want to notice is the outer edge. So the leg that you had in front of you for mermaid, that outer edge is going to be really useful. Push it down into the floor. Notice how it helps you lift your hip. Legs will straighten. Notice how you have to project your shoulder over the wrist, and that takes a little bit of gauging and figuring out lengthwise. Pushing down into the floor there as you breathe in, and carefully bringing your hip back down towards the mat. So the control and the exhale, again, that's a combination that sort of go against each other, so be careful. Outer edge of foot pushes down, pelvis hovers. I want to get the shoulder right over that wrist to help me out. Inhale whilst I'm up here, and then exhale. Keep pushing slightly through that arm to carefully sit yourself back down again. Last one, exhaling, outer edge. Always keen for you to use your legs and feet when you're having to bear weight through the upper body. And that's that. So from here you're going to come onto your hands and knees. Just as a way to bring you onto your front into swan. So as we've done before, straightening one leg behind you and curling the toe under. Be aware of which leg you choose to do that with. See if you can alternate. Just notice which one is your favourite perhaps. Your long, there you've integrated ribs to pelvis. You're going to carefully bring the knees down. Uncurl the tops of the toes. Chest comes forward, elbows just bend. They just bend, then you're in a swan position that you're going to build upon from here. So you'll breathe in to create some length, widen through the collarbones, send the elbows back, and breathe out to return. Inhale for length. Widen, elbows move backwards and downwards. And you exhale, projecting the chest forwards each time. Inhaling. Last one. Once you're down, head on hands, single leg extension. So come quite quickly into single leg kick action, and then you'll have an option to prop yourself up on the forearms in an extended upper body position and continue with the single leg kick. So top of thigh bone down for foot to lift. See if you can figure out where that is anatomically. Right through the centre. You could almost think of your hip bones, your 3 and 9. Down to lift up. From here you're going to start to flex at the knee. Again with an option dependent on what other activity you're doing. So it might be that you really need some length through the Achilles and the calf, in which case go for flexed. Or you might be happy to stick with lengthened foot or relaxed toes as you're coming in and out. But just notice how the back of the leg reacts as you come in and out there. Notice how the outer calves react. What do you feel like you need to do through the ankle, if anything? After you've done this last one, and I've done a bit of a pick and mix of legs and ankles. Reach your arms forward. I'm going to drag them back lift my chest up at the same time and bring myself up onto my forearms. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Extend, fold, reach, and relax down. And it's not for everyone. And I'm also aware of maintaining endurance so far as what's doing the move. Be aware of lower back. Keep tilting the pelvis to 6 as much as you can figure that out. Keep lifted through the lower tummy, lifted up and away from you with the chest. Last one, lengthened. And then rest yourself down. Always come down before you come into some sort of child's pose, rounded position. And then from here, I'm just going to curl my toes underneath me to come to stand. You could just stand up. You could come out into a plank and walk back to your feet. But this is my version here, into a deep squat. Hips lift. Still got some weight through the fingers if I need it. Just becoming accustomed to being upside down. And as I breathe out, lifting the front of the body in towards me a little deeper to unravel and bring myself upright. Finishing off with the rolling down and rolling up. Just moving back. So there's a bit of me, a bit more of me in view. So as you exhale, nudge your chin to your chest. It's a bit like doing spine stretch. And back ribs spread. You're maintaining your distance between your thighs and your torso. Similar shape. Inhale. As you exhale, you're going to lift up through the navel and roll your body up to stand and start again. Exhaling, chin nods to chest. Ribs drawing in and back. And take this one out into a plank. Again, you don't have to finish in that way. You could take a breath in and roll yourself back up if that's what you'd prefer to do. Heels backwards and downwards. Can you move the arms just 3 times? 2. And your 3 is technically back where you started. As you exhale, lift the front body in towards the back body to bring yourself up. And then exhaling, up and over. Again, can you do 3 hand walks? Means that the first one has to be quite far away from you, and then the second one and the third one. I overshot that a little bit. Heels backwards and downwards. 1, 2, soft knees, 3. Using your breath out, using your drawing in of your front body to bring yourself all the way back up. Last one, exhaling. One, 2, 3.
And we're done. Take care, everyone.